Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we do a new character every week. This week, we're going to be talking about Mr. Sinister, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Steven.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you two doing today? How are you doing today, Steven?
I'm pretty good, bro. I was about to say Brad. Hi, Fred. You just switched people. Sorry.
It
No, I'm
happens
doing
a
well.
lot,
Yes,
especially when they introduce themselves as each other. Brad.
correct. Yeah.
I
Brad, how are you doing?
I immediately regretted when I said my name of not saying Brandon. Immediately regretted it.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Brandon is working right now. We were not going to be able to have either Brandon or Steven. The schedules weren't going to line up for them. So, Steven, we picked to do the record with you because you have a lot of history with Mr. Sinister.
Oh, I feel somewhat honored, but in a peculiar way. So,
Yes. I'm also going to ask you what your opinion on a Mephisto is here coming up later. So think about that. But until then, I'm going to go over the tournaments that are coming up. Coming up shortly on November the 30th, there is going to be a tournament at Recess Games in North Olmsted, Ohio. That is Steven's local store. So if you are interested in having a game up in Northern Ohio, head that way. It's an awesome store. I really enjoyed the time that I went there. It's a really good place, and uh, it's always fun to have a tournament run at that location. Then coming up later in December, on December the 21st, on the winter solstice, we are going to have a tournament at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston, West Virginia. Uh, Come on down. That is myself, Brad, and Brandon's local store, and play some games. I'm looking forward to doing that. We may have Steven there this time. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to make commitments for him. Uh, and then coming up later in January, on January the 18th, is the next BECC qualifier. And that is also going to be at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston. So we need as many people as we can get to that location. So if you're going to pick one tournament to come to that one. We want as many people as we can get. Okay. Uh, I do not believe that there's any news out of AMG since their tragic timelines release. So, and I think it's likely we won't have any news until January. All right, well, let's move right along to games that we've played recently. I do not have any games that I've played recently. I did not play any games since our last record. I actually played a game of Song of Ice and Fire, so I'm I'm cheating on Marvel Crisis Protocol. But Brad, do you have any games that you want to talk about?
I've played two games this week. The first one was against Brandon on Thursday, and we were playing uh, abnormal stuff. So I played New Mutants, and he played um, Hydra. So my list was Magic, X-23, Shadowcat, who I almost forgot for reasons, Sunspot, and Warlock. Was just trying to play all the characters I could that were affiliated, including I wanted to make sure I put both Warlock and Sunspot in there. And he played Baron Strucker with Omega Red, um, Big Daddy, Abomination, and Spider Woman. And that might have been his entire list. We played Infinity Formula and some sort of extract. Oh, it was Paranoia. And he, Sunspot was a little letdown, but he was fighting Omega Red. That wasn't a good matchup. Warlock was okay. Shadowcat got to do nothing. She dazed and then KO'd very quickly because every time Abomination activated, he dazed or KO'd 2 models.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, X23 did manage.
Abomination doing. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say Abomination doing what we expected him to do, doing lots of work.
He definitely felt like a 6-point model, not a 5-point model in this game. He felt really good. But X23 mostly. I think Magic did a little bit of the damage, but X23 was able to take him down because X23 can do magic things. Magic with a C, not a K.
Yeah,
And after the game, Brendan's like, I don't feel like Spider-Woman did anything. And I'm like, she consistently got you 2 points a turn. Like, she got an extract. She sat on his secure, and then when I went to that secure, he like moved her across the map to get a point on a different secure, and then at the end of the game, he moved her again to get a different secure. Like, she got so many points. He's like, you're right. She just didn't attack anything.
Yeah,
Like,
she rotates very, very well.
She's so fast, and she's got that wall crawler, and she's got the place. Like, it was crazy. And I tried to take her out, and just couldn't. I didn't even daze her. And she was always within 2, so I didn't like attack her, but I was like throwing stuff at her and stuff, and I just couldn't get her. So I lost that game, and I mostly blame Abomination. It was
okay.
I didn't get to activate very many models each turn.
Because he was doing the Lord's work.
He was. Then last night I played Borka, and he was playing Cabal with Mephisto in it. So he was playing Master of the World, Red Skull, Mephisto, Ultron 2, Metal Tyrant, and Bullseye. That was his list. And I played Apocalypse, and I had Blob, Colossus, and Psylocke. I screwed up with Psylocke. I rolled an attack against Bullseye and like dazed him, but then we realized that I had rolled one too many dice because she was shocked, and so I re-rolled, and then I was like flustered, and I think I picked up a hit when I tried to do my re-rolls, and like it was just a mess, and like I forgot about the horseman tokens and all sorts of stuff, and she only had 1 health left on her injured side. And so I failed to daze Bullseye, and she just died. And I felt like this was just a mistake on my part because I'd like screwed up and then got flustered, and I didn't roll as good, and it felt awful.
Yeah.
Everyone else on my side did well. At the top of 2, I dazed Mephisto, and top of 3, I KO'd him. That was 3 total attacks from Apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
Because I had on turn 1 done a couple damage, turn 2 dazed him, and turn 3 1 attack KO'd him. Like,
okay.
it was Mephisto was in a bad spot.
Yeah. I feel like a little vindicated, but that's only 1 game, so
it is.
We'll see.
So he didn't get to use Mephisto. Of course, Ultron 2 was a rock star.
Of course.
And Red Skull's good. So he ended up killing everybody except Apocalypse on my team. And I got his Bullseye as well. because he moved on to it was what's the one where you move the extract? It's not really an extract. Research station.
Research
It was
station.
research
Yeah.
station, and he moved at one point Bullseye onto the research station, which was the end of Bullseye, because that's where Colossus
Okay.
and Apocalypse spent the entire game. I I think I scored the research station every turn, and then usually
Okay.
1 to 2 of the infinity formulas. But he didn't even try to get on the research station. He was just trying to attrition me down and then score, which worked for him last time. But he had Malekith
Hmm.
last time. And on the last turn, he had Red Skull and Ultron. They both had like one. Ultron had one. I think Red Skull had either 1 or 2 health on him. And he had priority. So he had to activate one of them and try to do 4 damage to Apocalypse to KO him. And then he wins the game. And I think he ended up doing something like 2 damage with Red Skull. And then I dazed Ultron 2. And then at that point, the research station was on his side. So I was scoring 3 points. I had scored 3 points on the research station 2 turns in a row. And that brought me
Oh
up.
wow.
That brought me up to 16, and also it was turn 6. So no matter what, I was gonna win
You were winning.
as long as Apocalypse didn't die. He had to
Right.
kill Apocalypse.
All right. That's impressive. That sounds
It
like
was
an
a good game.
impressive
It was a
showing.
good game.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations on your win against. Hey, was this Borka's first loss with Red Skull, Master of the World?
Oh,
I think
you
it
know
might
what?
be.
I think it is.
I think it
He's
might be. You
been
broke his
saying
record.
he's been saying like I won, but I don't know if he's gonna count it because he was trying Mephisto.
Yeah. All right.
After our game, he played Brandon and he played Mephisto's leadership with Ultron and some other stuff. They're playing 15, and I think he won that game. Borka did,
Okay.
and
Okay.
Brandon was playing Criminal Syndicate with MODOK as his leader, and he was playing Abomination. I already know that much.
Okay. He wants to throw Abomination around.
Yeah, I think he's given it a try everywhere he fits. He's a good character.
Yeah,
Hey,
he's
hey,
really good.
hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Going back to your being shocked and doing the re-roll. We actually have come up with an elegant solution in our store. So Robbie and I had this issue one time where Cable rolled 1 dice too many because he was shocked, and he didn't. He rolled like 1 hit in that roll, and he goes, "Oh, let me re-roll." So he rolls 4 dice and gets like 3 crits in a wild. Okay, and I said, "No, this has to stop because that's a very inelegant solution. Getting more successes on your second roll, which would be like a recalibration matrix, so to speak." So what
Uh-huh.
we've come up with is that after you roll the dice and you figure out that you have made a mistake, we allow the opponent to take 1 dice out of your pool.
Yeah, see,
So
Okay.
that's fine if like that's established, but we had not really established anything, and
yeah, I just don't like people
it
getting
is
more successes on
it
less dice.
it is a a tough situation to be in because there's no real way to fix it. There's
Right.
nothing that actually fixes the situation besides time travel. So
Right. Right.
But if you allow your opponent gets to pick one of your results, which might be a
that
good result
I'm
that you're looking for.
and I'm not even saying that that's not fair because that does sound like a pretty good solution. It's
Mhm.
but that's something that feels like it needs to be established. Besides just
I like that
redoing the
rule.
whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it
'cause
too.
I
Yeah,
think
because
that is a solution that we should think about making an established solution in our area.
Yeah.
yeah, because like I said, I don't like seeing somebody roll 5 dice, getting one success, and saying, "Oh, I rolled too many." Roll 4 dice and get like 3 or 4 successes, and it's just like, really?
But it
So
Yeah.
also it
Yeah.
also sucks uh if they roll
Roll
their
12
five dice.
successes.
No, they roll their
Yeah.
5 dice and it's just never caught. Or
true,
the
Yeah,
opponent
that's
doesn't fess up or
also.
whatever. Like, I mean, not that anyone would
but
purposely cheat, but
yeah,
like
a
doesn't
lot of these are
realize
just
until
mistakes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But there has to, like I said, if you do the re-roll on the dice, that's just like a free calibration matrix, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm just making a suggestion. That's all.
Kind of.
So
I like the suggestion. It's one that we should implement, I think. Okay. Well, Steven, do you have any games that you want to talk about?
yes, in fact, I'm running Hydra with Abomination. So I give kudos to Brandon. I played 2 games. The second game was more of like a learning game, so I'll just go over my first game. It was against Robbie. He was running Mephisto. We were on Mutant Madman and Deadly Legacy Virus at 18. He was running Mephisto, Pyro, the original Human Torch, because, Incinerate, Bishop, and Sin. And I don't know why he was running Sin, but
Yeah, that is
I
why is Sin in there?
I think Robbie's collection is not extensive per se. So, but he just
Okay.
likes the rapid fire on Sin, and she has stealth, and he just kind of runs her around as an objective person. Um, why he's not running Viper, I don't know, because I think she'd be better in that situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just an opinion. Um, I was running Baron Strucker Hydra with Bucky Winter Soldier Operative. That's Bucky 2, Arnim Zola, Abomination, and Iceman. And let me tell you what, I really like Iceman and Hydra. Oh my gosh, he is so good. So, needless to say, Abomination, I like him on the B shapes because he gets 2 power a turn. And on this one, I ran him against original Human Torch and Pyro. And to Brad's conclusion, he's a 5 that plays a little bit better than a 5 because he took those 2 on pretty handily. But I have priority, so I ran him up, flipped the one Mutant Madman, and then flipped the second Mutant Madman way back into his half of the board. After that, he went and picked up one of the extracts, and then I moved up Arnim Zola and did flipped one of the Mutant Madman, of course, and then he went with somebody to get one of the extracts, and then I took Iceman with his medium move, medium base, and went to the far Mutant Madman on the other side of Abomination and flipped that, and then immediately played World Domination. So
Hey.
he's like, I didn't
Nice.
see that coming. I'm like, yeah. So, and then I got the last extract, so I scored like 7 points in the first round. So it was pretty much over by then. But
Oh my.
yeah, like I said, Abomination handled 2-3 threats by himself pretty easily. Iceman was holding up against Sin and Bishop by himself, and then I could use the rest of my characters to kind of go after Mephisto, which I kept him out of position to the point where he couldn't meet my associate. So, needless to say, that game we called after round 2 when I was up like 12-4, something like that. So, yeah, on pay to flips, watch out for Hydra and World Domination. So you can't let them sneak up on you like that.
Right, right. That is absolutely true. I mean, world domination is a fantastic card, and it's something
Hmm.
that you have to constantly think about when you're up against Hydra.
Well, I just like having the card in my list and then being on a pay to flip because, you know, people who are aware of it, they're like, okay, I guess I gotta kind of camp these out. And like you said, it can turn the game because obviously then it gives you people power on top of that, which is fantastic. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Robbie's playing Mephisto and tried his leadership and just trying to learn him. But this is the third time I've faced Mephisto, and this is the third time that I've had good results against Mephisto. So he doesn't seem to be an issue for me at least. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that, Stephen. Earlier in the podcast, I had said I would ask your opinion on Mephisto, but you were on the Mephisto episode. What I meant to say was ask your opinion on Omega Red, which
Omega
was who we did.
Red.
Yeah, that was who we
Oh,
did last week.
um, I think he just gets lost on the shuffle. I believe he's a decent enough character. He has utility. I really like his ensnare.
Oh,
That
right.
can
Yeah.
change. That can change a game state very, very quickly. Part of the problem is his power generation tends not to be the best. So I know running him in Hydra is kind of where people like to put him with Strucker, but um, if he's not generating power, plus he also has damage reduction, which doesn't help with his power generation. Which Abomination has damage reduction, but his power generation is helped out by the fact that he gets 2 power a turn, and when he does take damage, he does get an extra power. So
Yeah. He's got Rhino's ornery, plus he gets 2 powers a turn, and his ornery is better than Rhino's. It's Abomination's crazy.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
he's not bad. He's not bad at all. I found out. So,
Well,
but
if you were going to give Omega Red a quick letter grade, what do you think that would be?
I think he's hanging out in the C plus B minus category. It's all faction dependent. I mean, I would put him at B plus if somebody could feed him power, honestly. But I think C plus is where I'm landing. So
Okay. Okay. That is absolutely fair. Okay, so those were the games that we played recently. Let's move on to trivia. Hey, Brad, do you have any trivia to make fun of me with?
I
With which you can make fun of me. That's
I
the correct grammar.
I do, and this is where Borka starts fast forwarding through the episode, apparently. So, the trivia time. This game works by me asking Fred some trivia from the comics that he doesn't read, barely reads, and about a MCP character, someone who is out in MCP. And he tries to guess who it is. If he gets it right with the first guess, he gets 3 points. If he gets it with the hint I give him, he gets 2 points. And if he has to ask Steven for help, he gets 1 point. And Fred's really bad at this game, so he now needs 5 points to win.
Hey, it's more attainable. I've been given the a handicap. I like it.
So let's get started. Fred. This character was royalty on the Earth of a different dimension. When they were 4 years old, their universe suffered an incursion where two universes are colliding at their focal points. This character escaped from their universe by going to the Library of Worlds, which is a way station between universes. This character later came to the main Earth in the comics during its first incursion event and tried to stop the incursion.
Boy, okay, so they were royalty on a different universe, Earth. Uh, and they are not royalty on this universe, Earth. Uh, but well, uh, I guess you didn't say that they were from this universe. They're not even from this universe, are
Yeah,
they?
they're from a
They're
different
just a.
dimension.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I have zero clue on this one. I have no idea. So what I'm going to say is apocalypse. I'm going to say apocalypse.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Your hint. This character hates Doctor Strange and other magic users because her universe was destroyed by a group of people in masks with a single eye that looks like the eye of Agamotto that seem to be using magic. This was to save the other universe that was merging with it. This character later tried to join Thanos, but Thanos wouldn't take her.
Hmm. Okay. Uh. Oh man. So I know that she is female. Uh. My what I want to say is Scarlet Witch, but I know that's not correct. I know that's not right. Uh. So what I'm going to say instead, is this? I apologize. Is this Angela?
That's not a bad guess. That is incorrect.
Okay.
Angela is from our Asgard, was exiled to another dimension, and then came back.
Okay.
So that wasn't
Well,
a bad guess. Steven, do you know who this is?
I have no idea. I'm going to take a guess and say it's Clea, but I know it's wrong.
That is also incorrect. This is Black Swan.
oh,
Black
wait,
Swan.
uh she didn't Thanos didn't take her? Why is she in
No.
the Black Order?
So later, after that, another person puts together a Black Order that has some of the same members, and she was a member of that Black Order. I talked about that crossover. Well, it wasn't a crossover, it was like all one series, but it was kind of a crossover because it had different Avengers teams in it called No Surrender, which was like a big worldwide King of the Hill fight. Do you remember that series?
Sure.
Okay, so it was Avengers versus Black Order versus I don't even remember what the other team was called, but it was like Game Master and the Beyonder and someone else all picked these people to fight on Earth to determine who the winner was, and she was a member of the Black Order in that series. What I'm saying is she
Okay.
probably shouldn't have the affiliation, but whatever.
What? Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Okay then. The Black Swan.
0 points for Fred so far. Hopefully he does a little bit better on these other two, which I think are probably easier. We'll see.
Okay. We'll see.
This character joined a team of time-traveling mutants led by Kate Pryde. This group ends up traveling 2 billion years into the past to try to save a group of mutants before recorded time. They have to fight two sentient bacterias to save the mutants of the past and would not have succeeded without this character tricking the bacterias into possessing them so that this character can wipe out all of the bacteria's other hosts, ending the fight. Kate and her allies immediately betray this character and leave them 2 billion years in the past.
So Kate Pride this is different than Kitty Pride?
That is the same person.
Is the same person. Okay. Okay. And this person went back in time with Kate Pride
Yes.
and let a bacteria infect them. Is this Warlock?
This is not Warlock.
Okay.
Your hint. This character's physical body was not born, but made. The character's spirit/mind is what the Shi'ar, an alien race descended from birds instead of apes, call a Mumadrai. The evil reflection of yourself that you have to fight before you are born.
Oh my God. Okay, so this was supposed to be easier than the last one.
This is
Okay.
way easier than the last one.
Okay, I'll take your word for it because I have no clue. Um, is this Bishop?
And no, this is not Bishop. Bishop
Okay.
was on Kate's team that went back in time, though, if that makes you feel better.
Okay. Well,
But why would Kate betray
sure.
Bishop and leave him in the past?
I don't know. Oh, hold on. I bet I know who this is. Steven, go ahead.
Yes, Steven.
Well, I don't. I don't. I will give my guess to Fred.
I don't
Fair.
think that's I don't think he can
No,
he do that?
that's fine. Yeah, he can.
Is this Mr. Sinister?
No, this is not Mr. Sinister. That
Oh,
was a better
okay.
guess,
Well,
though. This is Cassandra Nova Xavier.
really? Hold on. So she was on a team with
So it was
Kate
during
Pride?
Krakoa, where all mutants were forgiven their past sins and given a second chance.
Except they get marooned 2 billion years in the past.
Yeah, it was
Sounds
kind
like
of
one heck of a second chance.
yeah, it was kind of a dick move. Yeah. It was rude. It was very rude. The thing is that it wasn't illegal by Krakoan law, because all their only law that had to deal with like screwing people over is you can't kill humans. Um, they could kill each other. They could strand each other 2 billion years in the past. That was all fine. But
Okay.
the big clue in the hint is the evil reflection of yourself that you have to fight before you're born. Cassandra Nova very
Oh.
famously killed by Professor X in the womb.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I
then
see.
also pretty famously creates her body out of sewage sludge, instead of, being born like she was supposed to. But whatever. I guess 0 points for Fred.
Great. Okay.
You're killing
What's the
it,
third
Fred.
one?
You're killing it.
Yeah.
A member of the ruling family, this character has served as an ambassador, spy, and even in a political marriage. Usually beloved by this character's people, this character spent a lot of time away from them and the duties of statehood by joining teams like the Fantastic Four and the Avengers.
Is this Storm?
Incorrect. Your hint. This character dated and even married multiple Marvel characters, including the Human Torch, Quicksilver, and Ronin, and had an affair with Vision's normal human neighbor, Norm Webster.
Okay. All right. So who did they date? Say who they dated again.
Human Torch, that's Johnny Storm.
Okay.
Quicksilver, and Ronin, the Accuser.
Yeah. A Kree. Not
Correct.
a human. Okay,
Correct.
all right. Well. Hmm. Who the heck is this?
Fred never listens to me. That's why he's bad at this game.
I don't remember the stuff that you say. That's the difference. All right. Well, is this Gamora?
It is not Gamora.
Okay.
Steven, do you know who this is?
It's Crystal.
It is Crystal.
Okay. Crystal. She's really forefront in my mind.
Okay. Your bonus question, worth 20 points. What do these characters have in common?
Okay. We've got Black Swan, we've got Cassandra Nova, and we've got Crystal. What do they have in common? They all have 3 attacks.
Do they?
They do all have 3 attacks.
Okay, sounds good.
That is true. That is a
All right,
true statement.
You got 20
I'm
points
relatively...
for a total
Crystal
of
has
21 points.
Crystal has 4 attacks, by the way.
Oh, well
Oh,
then Fred does not get 20
damn it.
points and has 1 point and
Damn it.
loses.
I
Plus,
knew.
Fred, should I answer this for him, Brad?
Yeah, go ahead.
They all have flight.
They do all have flight, don't
Okay.
they?
If Black Swan has
What
flight,
is,
that
what is
sounds good.
what is the answer that you had in mind, Brad?
What do these characters have in common? I just wrote 2 question marks.
Wait, what?
I
Okay.
I couldn't think of anything.
They,
So
they all have flight. Trust me.
They do all have flight. I'm looking at them.
okay,
Dag
that
nabbit.
that sounds like a great answer. I'll take it.
They all have greater than 2 attacks.
That's a
Oh well, whatever.
that's bad. I would not have taken that. That's dumb. Yeah, when I was going through Cerebro, like picking characters, and I was just trying to pick characters I haven't done before, and it's getting harder to come up with a theme. And I'm gonna try, but I
I
found
mean, I'm sure there's information on characters that you've already done that you haven't told me that have not been involved in trivias before.
Oh,
Like the information.
yes,
Brad,
absolutely.
if you need ideas, I'll shoot you some.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I have reused characters, but I also want to like get to every character. So,
Okay.
and this was a good chance to do 3 kind of crazy characters.
3 obscure characters, 2 characters that I don't really see on the table all that much at all, and one who I see maybe very vaguely more frequently. That being Black Swan.
Yeah, a little more frequently.
More frequently than you see Crystal or Cassandra Nova.
True.
All right. Well, oh well. Another L in the column for me, everyone. I'm really bad at this game. Okay, let's move on. To the person that we're here to do today. That person being Mr. Sinister, and I have navigated away from him. All right, here he is, Mr. Sinister. He's otherwise known as Nathaniel Essex. He has 6 stamina on his front side and 5 stamina on his back side. He is a medium mover. He is on a medium base. He is a size 3, threat value of 4, and his defenses are 3 physical, 3 energy, and 4 mystic. Hey, Brad, why don't you do his attack suite?
It's been so long, I forget how. His first attack is energy. It's called Strike. It's range 3, 5 dice, cost 0, and gain power equal to damage dealt. His second attack is Mystic, Genetic Splicing. It's a beam 4, 5 dice, cost 1, and for each attack, after each attack is resolved, this character gains 1 genetic sample token. And then his last attack is Mystic, Recombinant Disintegration. It's area star, or the star is the number of genetic sample tokens this character has. 6 dice, costs 6, and has a crit hit wild trigger. We love to see those. Genetic burst. After this attack is resolved, each enemy character within range of this attack suffers 1 damage.
Okay. Hey, Steven, why don't you do the first 3 of these superpowers?
Okay. Engineer Perfection. It costs you 0 power. Remove any number of genetic sample tokens from this character. Remove 1 special condition from this character for each genetic sample token removed. This superpower can be used only once per turn. We also have an active superpower, Genetic Negation. Will cost you 1 power. Choose an enemy character within 3 of this character and remove 1 genetic sample token from this character. If you do, the chosen character gains the root special condition. Active superpower, such fun little playthings. It will cost you 2. Choose an enemy character within 3 and advance that character short. This superpower can be used only once per turn.
All right. He also has a reactive superpower called molecular regeneration. It costs you 0, and if this character would suffer damage, it may use this superpower. Remove any number of genetic sample tokens from this character. Reduce the amount of damage suffered by 1 for each genetic sample removed. He also has an innate superpower called DNA database. This character may have a maximum of 3 genetic sample tokens at any time, and he also has innate flight. Okay, he also has a tactics card associated with him. Hey, Brad, do you have that? Do you happen to have that pulled up?
I do. He has 2 of them. So he has
Right.
cloning banks, which is an
Okay. Go ahead. Go
which
ahead.
is unaffiliated and reactive. During any cleanup phase, an allied Mr. Sinister may play this card. Costs no power. When this card is played, set it near the battlefield instead of discarding it. During each cleanup phase, including the one in which this card is played, Mr. Sinister may move any number of genetic sample tokens from himself to this card. If this card has been played during any power phase, you may remove any number of genetic sample tokens from this card and discard it. If you do, place an unused character from your roster with a threat value equal to half the number of genetic samples removed, rounding down, or lower, into play within range 1 of an allied Mr. Sinister. Then unused character gains 3 power and is now part of your squad.
Okay. Uh, the other tactics card that he has is called Forced Extraction. It is an unaffiliated active tactics card. Mr. Sinister may spend 1 power to play this card. Up to 3 other allied characters within range 3 of Mr. Sinister suffer 1 damage. Mr. Sinister gains genetic sample tokens equal to the amount of damage suffered. Okay. All right. So, what do you guys think about these 2 tactics cards? Specifically, let's talk about the first one, the cloning banks tactics card. Steven, what are your thoughts here on this tactics card?
Flimsy, not competitive. That's it.
Yeah.
It's too clunky. It's just too clunky.
Yeah, it's a really fun idea, but to get it, you end up playing so against the way you should be playing. Like you have to hoard your genetic samples, not use them, and then spend them to create this thing that really, I mean, functionally, the best that you can get is probably 6 on the card, and uh, bring in a 3, and that would be on round 3, which might be very helpful. But that's if everything goes your way and you're able to spend all of your genetic, you're able to acquire all the genetic sample tokens you need and spend them all on this use. Like, I don't think this is this. It's fun. It's fun. It's just not very useful. What are your thoughts, Brad?
It's a trap.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What are your thoughts on forced extraction? Steven, let's. What are your thoughts here on this card?
If you're going to spend a tactic card on Mr. Sinister, this is the one you do. Especially if you run him in a team like Weapon X.
Oh yeah, they just heal the damage that he does to them, and
Correct.
he stays powered up with DNA samples.
Correct.
Okay.
So
All
you
right.
start off your first turn with 3 genetic samples. That makes him very tanky and very hard to shift.
Okay. All right. That makes more sense as a thing to do. Brad, what do you think about this card?
And also, he has no power to interact with the scenario. That's the downside. Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
yeah. And if you do not have healing factor, you definitely do not play it. You can't afford to put damage on all your models at the start of the game, which is the only time you would ever play this card.
At the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I feel like this is a better card. It's probably got more value than cloning banks. It still probably doesn't make your list of cards. I mean, I don't know. It might be worth taking if Mr. Sinister is the key part of your play, of your strategy, but I don't even think that he should be that at
No,
any point.
no.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Mr. Sinister's card, to his character card. What are your thoughts? What are your first thoughts here on this, Brad? What do you think about Mr. Sinister? Just looking at him.
He's I don't know. It's really hard cuz like his abilities, and this is kind of where Mephisto is. Like his abilities are good, but having to spend tokens on them really limit that. At least you don't have to spend it for moving a model. That's a that's
Right.
that's a big plus. And his are fairly easy to get because all you have to do is the range 4 beam on models to get the tokens. And unlike Mephisto, this isn't limited to 1 damage. It's also Mystic, which can be good.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have a hole in their Mystic defense.
Yeah. It feels like he is just a little short of where he needs to be as a 4-point model.
Can I also say he has a spender which is pretty useless. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but it costs 6 power to pull off.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't protect, like, it's an area star, so it could be an area 3, which is quite large. That's a big area, but it doesn't protect your people.
No.
Like, how many of the people from your, he has to be away from range 3 from your entire team to prevent doing damage to your own team with that attack.
It should cost, I don't know.
It should cost
No,
4 or
no,
less.
yeah, no more than 4, and it shouldn't damage your own models.
Right. It should have some proviso in there that says friendly models take no damage.
Also, it's really
Or
stupid
something
he has
like that.
flight. He does not have flight. Get rid of flight.
Steven, what are your thoughts here on this guy?
If he didn't have the token mechanic, and there were a couple of fixes in the place of that token mechanic, I think he'd be fine. So hear me out. Recombinant disintegration, just get rid of it. Genetic splicing, instead of getting tokens, make it a gainer. So for everyone he attacks, he gets a power. Engineered perfection, make it like Blade's ability, where he spends 1 power to remove a condition. Genetic negation, make it 1 power to give somebody root. Such fun little playthings stays the same. And molecular regeneration would cost 1 power to reduce damage by 1 to 0, just like Beta Ray Bill. Take away the database and the flight, and you have a new character that's actually worth playing.
Yeah. Here's I feel like everyone out there who's listening to this podcast and has listened for a while knows my feeling on these characters that have their own special tokens that they have to accrue and that they have to use to generate their own abilities. I hate it. I don't like these tokens. I mean, I'm not against them in theory because obviously it can be done very well and it can be done in a way that's much more fun than this. I feel like this one's particularly clunky. These genetic sample tokens.
I don't think so. I think this is the best one they've done.
Do you? What?
No.
Maybe
I believe
Sunspots is better, but I think
getting tokens passively is a lot better than this.
Yeah, the problem with this is that you have to always be playing to line up as many characters as you can into a beam. Now that's not a problem. That's not an error, but it would be. I agree with Steven on this one that like if they just removed this aspect, the tokens mechanic, and just rejiggered his card a little bit, there's a character here that could be very good. But I just don't think this is that character.
I don't think the genetic sample tokens are that hard to get. And like it's such a part of his character from the comics that he's collecting these samples of all these different mutants to study them. And the fact that they in a small way capture that in this character, I really like that. Like I don't want to lose that aspect.
You like the thematic
Yeah,
aspects,
and
and you're right.
and
It is a cool thematic thing.
and
The
getting
one
them automatically each turn still takes away from that like really fluffy way that he's doing it. So
Well, I would say in that aspect, if you keep the beam, it should be at least a zero cost beam because that power economy really sucks for him.
that would be better, yeah.
The
Obviously.
other way I would say is if do it passively to where if somebody is dazed or KO'd, he gets genetic sample tokens.
Ooh, that would be cool. That'd be really cool, and that's like really fluffy
Thematic
too.
also.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
because like there's been lots of times where like his marauders are fighting people and someone like Rogue gets knocked out and he just goes over and he takes a little sample of her blood and then like in the middle of the fight and then like goes off and runs away. Well, not he doesn't really run. He saunters away. But that would be really cool. I like that.
You
This
know
should
the one
also be a character. This should be a character that can have multiple versions of himself on the field.
That also would work pretty well. You can tell that you've read uh, one modern Sinister story. Really, any modern Sinister story, but I know which one you read. You read the Ten of Swords one.
Yes.
I believe there was a huge miss in his character development with another character, by the way. And it has to do with Cyclops. I think Cyclops should have the nemesis role like Green Goblin against Spider-Man.
Mm,
Because
Okay.
because Cyclops's eye beams do more damage to Sinister for some reason in the comics.
yes. In fact, in one of Sinister's first appearances, it does seem like Cyclops kills him with his eye beams, but he gets better.
Comics, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
probably
comics.
just a clone anyway. I do want
Right.
to point out that Sinister is extremely weak to root, a condition that
Man, yeah.
probably didn't exist when he came out. But
Well, I mean, it's on his card. He can give out root.
oh, then it was just starting to come out. He
Yeah.
hates root.
Yeah,
He
he
can do-
does. You're right.
He can spend a genetic sample and a power to get rid of it.
He can on his activation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but he could be in Strucker Hydra and get rid of it too. So
He can.
True.
I'm just saying, like, it's bad. It's a good thing he has an easy way to remove it, because
I've got a
it'd be
question.
tough.
Can he get rid of Stagger?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm always just a little like when I think about Stagger, I think the first thing you do, you have to shake
No.
Stagger.
The first
But,
action
like,
you make.
The first action has to be shake Stagger. So he can do this before he takes an action.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of want to put him on the table again now. I don't know where. I don't know where I'm gonna play him, but I kind of want to play him now.
I mean, I love that he can give out root. Root is a great ability.
Root is
and
good.
and I feel like we haven't talked about it enough. Such fun little playthings is a great ability.
It is.
Like it is. It also only costs 2. That is a fantastic ability to cost 2.
You know what? he can be famine. Not famine. I mean, he can be famine. Pestilence. I might
He can be
try.
pestilent.
I might try him as a pestilence. I'm sure he's not as good as Blob or Colossus, but maybe I'll try him out in a game.
That okay. And that would be interesting. He
He
could
might.
give someone root. If you need to take out someone who is who has 1 health left, he can give them root and then
Do
use his
damage,
pestilence
yeah.
ability to do 1 damage.
Yep.
He might be more tanky than those other two as pestilent.
He could be. He could be.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have. Well, Blob has almost no damage output. He's in there for the push. But Colossus can put out some damage. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a try. I have a pretty nicely painted Mr. Sinister. Reading his card again, I'm like, there's some great stuff on here, like the damage reduction. I might give him a try.
I would be willing to try him on a fun night in I don't know, Hydra Strucker. So
Yeah.
just saying.
Okay.
That seems to be where all my character knowledge is getting drained into. How does this work with Strucker? Yeah.
It's all going into Strucker Hydra. Okay, we've got to give this guy a letter grade. So I feel like he doesn't work the way that he currently exists. I mean, there's good stuff here, but there's also bad stuff here. And this is a game with a lot of great competitive fours. I feel like his place in the meta is minor at best. I am gonna give him, and this might be cruel, I'm giving him a C minus. I feel like his place is pretty limited. That might be too high, but that's where I'm staying. All right, Steven, what do you want to give to Mr. Sinister?
Okay. If there's a definition of a end game long play character, this guy is it. Okay. If this game wasn't so quick now, I believe he would be better. Such as if our game was 10 turns and went to 24 victory points, I think he would be very good. Honestly, that's with my experience playing him before. That's what it seems like. It's like I'm almost there. Game's over. Game's over. Okay, cool. Mr. Sinister didn't do anything. So D plus for me.
D plus. Okay. Brad, what are your thoughts here on Mr. Sinister?
You all crazy. C plus. I almost gave him a B minus. Like, he's not that bad.
I disagree.
Okay, Fred, let's put it to the test.
You're gonna play Mr. Sinister.
We're gonna play a game.
You know
on
what?
Wednesday.
It would be particularly good against me because I have bad Mystic defense with Web Warriors.
We're gonna
I don't want
play
to
it.
see Mystic.
I'm gonna beam all your spiders and take all their genetics.
I hate Root. Root is bad for me.
Yep. And you're never gonna do any damage to Mr. Sinister.
You're right. I'm not. Oh boy.
And I'm gonna move you off of points. This is gonna be so good.
He is weirdly particularly well suited to fight against Web Warriors. All right. Well, those were our thoughts on Mr. Sinister, on old Nathaniel Essex here. Brad, do you have any comic books that feature Mr. Sinister?
I sure do. So Mr. Sinister's a weird character.
No kidding.
Well, just in more ways than you realize, Fred. So originally, he was created at around the same time as Gambit by the same creator. And that creator had a vision for these two characters, that they were both the manifestation of this forever boy, this boy who did not grow up because he was in the orphanage with Scott Summers. His name was Nathaniel, and he was still a little boy in like modern times when these characters were introduced. That was retconned to just be a form that Mr. Sinister took in the orphanage. But the original conception was that this boy's mutant power was that he could make people based on like his imagination. And so Gambit was designed as what a like preteen boy would think was a really cool hero. And you know what? Preteen boys love Gambit. Nailed that. And Mr. Sinister was what would a boy think is the most evil character, like in looks and stuff. And that was the design for Mr. Sinister. And so that these two characters were not real people, but manifestations of this kid's power. Well, they didn't end up doing that. He changed his mind. And so there was a lot of like trying to figure out what to do with Mr. Sinister. And through most of his publication history, he's been a pretty generic mad scientist. Like there are so many of them in Marvel. It wasn't till I think it was 2012. It was at least 2012-ish. The writer Kieran Gillen reinvented the character, and that's where like having clones of himself started being around, and when he became a little more flamboyant, a little more funny. Not that he's trying to be funny on purpose, but like just the character concept itself was funny and still very scary and unsettling at the same time. And that's who Mr. Sinister has been since, and has become way more popular because of it. So, now that you know a little bit of the history of Mr. Sinister, I've got two comic recommendations. One, the first one is The Further Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, and this came out in the 90s. And it's by Peter Milligan and John Paul Leon. And Cyclops and Phoenix have traveled back in time to witness scientist Nathaniel Essex be corrupted by Apocalypse and become Mr. Sinister. This is where Mr. Sinister, he becomes Mr. Sinister through Apocalypse's celestial technology. And it's also where he becomes obsessed with the Summers bloodline. Because he meets Scott Summers during this time travel adventure. And then Mr. Sinister is the reason Scott Summers is eventually born. Because he is messing around with the bloodline and like make sure that certain people meet each other and have a child and all this stuff. So kind of circular logic there, but this series is pretty good. And it's one of the better pre-Kieran Gillen Sinister stories, and it gives a good telling of his origin.
Okay. It's more nonsense. I think that the people who make X-Men are obsessed with the Summers bloodline. Like, there's so many offshoots and weirdnesses and children that don't actually exist, or who exist in different dimensions, or who are the children of clones. It's great.
Doesn't sound like a sci-fi epic far, far away, right?
Oh boy, you're right.
In a galaxy far, far away, right?
It sounds like Fred is a comics novice, is what this is sounding like.
Oh, I think that my trivia performance is pretty obvious.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. The other comic, and this is not what I wanted to pick. I wanted to pick um, something that actually is in reference to the further adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix, because there are actually multiple Sinisters, it turns out. But that stuff is spread out over a bunch of different storylines in the Krakoan era, and it's really hard to like recommend that. But just know that if you read the Krakoan era, especially the second half of it, Sinister's all over the place, and there's lots of good Sinister content in there. So I narrowed it down to one storyline that's very Sinister focused, that's contained, and it's called Sins of Sinister. And there's actually like a bunch of different writers and artists that all worked on this together. So it was going to be quite a long list of names. So unfortunately, I'm just not going to name them. And Mr. Sinister has corrupted the resurrection protocols of Krakoa, and the ruling Quiet Council has been resurrected with a little bit of Sinister in them. We get to learn what happens 10, 100, and 1,000 years into the future as Sinister does his long-term plans.
Mhm.
So this one is Sinister's all over the place, including inside most of the other characters. The storyline's pretty cool. And it has... So sometimes when they do an alternate future timeline, things get reset at the end, and no one remembers, and it doesn't feel like it has any consequence. At the end of this storyline, everybody knows what happened. Not even just the characters, but like the other world governments know what happens. So this has actually long-term ramifications after the fact.
Okay, that sounds troubling. Wow. All right. Well, was that was two?
That was
Is that it?
two. That's
That-
it.
Okay. I look forward to reading the Sins of Sinister when I get to it.
Uh, it is the next thing I'm handing you.
Okay. All right then. I guess. Hey, Steven, is there an affiliation that Mr. Sinister does not belong to, where you think that he would really shine? And I forgot to say that.
Let me guess.
Oh.
Is it gonna be Baron Strucker Hydra?
I will refrain from that.
I,
Although,
uh, I I forgot to point out that Mr. Sinister is affiliated with Cabal and with the Apocalypse affiliation. Servants of Apocalypse, that's what it's called.
I would I am going to refrain from that, even though I know I've been on this kick lately, so I apologize. Um his power economy is the problem. So I would say a Brotherhood list with Magneto might not be a bad choice
I like it.
if you want to get him power, people breaking things.
He doesn't break anything is the only downside there.
Correct. Yeah. Or maybe Inhumans to give them access to a mystic attack that they readily don't have. So I would suggest those two places. Don't expect them to do anything spectacular per se, but he could be a good addition.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I mean, these are circumstances where he's not like they make him kind of work a little bit better. It's not like he's like an outstanding addition to those.
right. In my estimation, he's not game changing, but when you put him on the table, you have to change your game.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, the only thing that's left is my non sequitur recommendation. So in the show X-Men 97, uh, Mr. Sinister was. Oh no, I don't have him open. Well, the voice actor who played Mr. Sinister in that show also was on the English dub version of the very famous anime Death Note. So that is going to be my recommendation.
Ooh.
Is the anime Death Note? I believe that he plays the main character's father in Death Note. Uh, this is a show where a a young man finds a book, and it
Ooh,
turns out that it
exciting.
is that the book is the book of uh, a psychopomp, a person who ferries the dead into the other world, and any name that is written into the book will die of usually a heart attack, but not necessarily of a heart attack. Uh, and the main character is also a genius on like an extreme level, and he uses the power granted to him by this book to attempt to reshape the world. And obviously, this creates a circumstance where the world is trying to push back against him. And there is another genius who is trying his very best to find out who is responsible for these things. And the entire show is about the interplay between these two people going against each other in an extremely interesting way. Like, it is a great TV. It is a great anime. I highly recommend it, and it is definitely worth watching.
Hmm.
So
Uh,
what you've described to me is Sherlock Holmes meets Final Destination.
you know what? There's something to that comparison that's not completely wrong. Like that, there's something there.
Two
Apparently,
geniuses, Sherlock Holmes, Moriarty. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
apparently, Fred, he was also on the live action Death Note movie from
Oh wait,
Netflix.
really?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he played Peltz. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. I didn't watch that movie. I've heard that it's not great.
Oh, he was on Carrie. He's been in a lot of good stuff, actually.
Well, okay.
The
What's
2000,
his name? Because you have it open.
2013, Chris Britton. 2013 Carrie, but still, like, that was a pretty good movie.
I've actually never seen that one. What's his name? So that because I don't have it open in front of me.
Chris Britton, which I just said, but you weren't listening because you never
Oh,
listen to me.
it went very quiet when on our connection when you said it, so I
Oh,
didn't hear
okay.
you.
He was on Blade the series.
All right then. Blade the series. All right. Well, that's it for our show today. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you both for talking to me about Mr. Sinister and the sins thereof. Uh, I look forward to reading that book, and I look forward to not ever playing this character.
Jesus, Fred.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the week, everybody out there. Goodbye.